What's going on? It's your boy Lionel Classic 2009, back with another episode of TV versus everybody. And when I say everybody, I mean everybody, okay? TV versus all right? But before we get into it, man, talk about this weekend, got to talk about the home team, man. Definitely got to talk about the home team. So first and foremost, we got to talk about that PV alumni, Jeff McKissick. He's a Texas licensed loan officer with Fairway Independent Mortgage Company, and he'll help guide you seamlessly through the home buying process. See, many of us are unaware of our credit score, our true financial situation, but Jeff will help you develop a step-by-step plan to improve your financial standing, making your dream of owning a home achievable sooner than you think. He understands that your situation is not perfect, but listen, that's okay. The sooner you two start the conversation, the sooner you can solve those problems. So don't let the fear of achieving new heights hold you back from getting the home of your dreams. Perfect for your growing family and for hosting those PV watch parties, like if you can't make it to Atlanta, you know what I'm saying, PV watch parties. Get started now on taking the first steps towards your new home and the next big step in your life. Don't delay. Talk with Jeff today so you can be in your home tomorrow. And listen, after Jeff gets your loan right, listen, I'm going to get your home right, all right? So you got to hit up your boy, Lionel Mosby, of course, right? And listen, just as God has a special place for you to reside in heaven, I believe that he also has a special place for you to be while you're on this earth. And that's why I say, man, I'm just partnering with him to prepare a place for you. So if you're ready, right, to make that move, right, you need to get that loan in place. Jeff is going to get the loan in place for you. I'm going to help you to find a property that's right for you and your growing family. And then listen, we're going to also hit up another PV alumni, part of the home team, Neil Harris. Because when you're thinking big about your home purchase and you want a thorough assessment of your biggest investment, you owe it to yourself to contact Big. That's Blueprint Improvement Group. Big provides home inspections in the greater Houston area and is owned and operated by proud PV mechanical engineer Neil Harris. He has experienced inspectors who use advanced tools and techniques to assess every aspect of your property from the roof to the foundation. So visit thinkbig.com or text 713-259-0673 to book your home inspection. Support the team that supports the team. And with that said, man, we talk about the home team. Talk about supporting the home team. Hey, listen, I got the guys here today. You know what I mean? How y'all doing? What's the mood like, you know what I'm saying, in the Northern household after what just went down in Las Vegas this weekend? I definitely need to know that.
Hey, my sister texted me earlier today, say you better give her some shout outs, some thanks. She might have a Grambling hat. Nah, she didn't say that, but look, you know it's some thank yous coming from the Prairie View Nation from the Grambling family. Look, I was driving home, and lo and behold, my phone worked, so I had the Amazon Prime app or whatever it's called, and man, I almost ran off the road trying to get to the game, and just listen and watch the last. Actually, as I tuned in, they were driving the young man T-Set off the field. So let's definitely pray for him. And crazy thing, his mom and my sister went to high school together. She was at Glen Oaks, but all that long story short, but Prairie View, I'm sure they said thank you to Grambling right now. So hopefully Prairie View can keep their part up moving down the line.
Hey, listen, we appreciate it. We're going to donate $18.76 to the Grambling Foundation, all right, for taking care. Because listen, this is the thing, Coach Northern. The thing that I hated with everything and how everything's set up was we didn't get a chance we didn't have a chance to have a chance, right?
Yeah.
Because we wouldn't be able to play it out on the field. If things would have played out and say Prairie View went undefeated and Jackson went undefeated, Jackson gets to play the game at home simply because of something that really we ain't got no control over, right? And so I'm just happy now that at least we have a chance to do something on the field to make it where we get to host or not host or play here or play. Now it's like something on the field decides that versus, people like us behind a computer screen or something, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the thing that I like about it overall, you know what I mean, is now this comes into play, right? And so it is what it is. Man, Mr. Mickens, how are you? You know what I mean? How are you this weekend?
And if I could just stop laughing, but I'm just saying, hold your horses, because certain people that won't even rank us in the top 5 of the HBCUs said we're going to get blown out by 50, so it ain't even going to matter. Same people that said we're going to lose every week. So I even started putting a capital G on the words I use the G on in my sentences now. I might even put a capital G on G's name from Alcorn.
How do I blow this comment up? I need to remove all of us off the screen so I can make this comment big right here. I don't know.
I need to be big.
I don't know if StreamYard has the ability to do this right here, but if there's some way where I can I want you to focus on the comment, okay? I don't want you to look at me. I don't want you to look at Coach Northern. I don't want Mr. Mickens to take away your attention from what Mr. Grayscar 05 is saying right here, right now. Now, I normally don't like Coach Northern be involved in my nonsense, but his son go to Prairie View now, so he here. He here now, okay? He here now. Listen, I told y'all what's about to. Coach Jackson told y'all. He told y'all. We're going to win the West. We're going to host the SWAC championship. We're going to win the SWAC championship. Then we're going to load in buses, planes, and trains, and we're going to head up I-20 because that's the quickest way to Atlanta, and we're going to win the Celebration Bowl. Now, I just want to say, I just want to look at the comment right there. They called me crazy. They called me crazy. But because of that good old GS. See, now, Coach, I grew up in Monroe, Louisiana. So
I
know when that chant gets to going, All right, it's kind of
Oh,
hard.
it's a problem.
Hey, it's one of the ones you can't beat at the end of the day. Hey,
Man.
can I go?
Yeah.
Can I go back a little bit? So I got a couple things to talk about, some pregame stuff and some homecoming stuff.
Okay, go ahead.
So normally, and this was always my policy when I coached at Prairie View, I never, if I had on a Prairie View shirt, I never had a drink in a restaurant or something like that. So, you know, it's just my thing. You know, I don't want somebody saying, it's just, even if me and my wife had dinner, that Coach Northern was drunk or something like that. The other thing, so, you know, now a lot of guys that play for me, they are of age where I will, you know, if they're around, I will have a beer, you know, buy them a cigar or something like that. So before the game, I went to HEB in the front of my neighborhood. So I had on a Prairie View football shirt, and one of the guys that's working at HEB says, "Good luck today, coach. I hope y'all win this game." So I'm saying to myself, he must think I'm Coach Jackson. So Coach Jackson. Now I think we both handsome dudes, but I'm gonna give myself a little bit more handsome than Coach. You know what I'm saying? So look, that's one thing. So, and it's funny to me that people don't even realize that I hadn't coached at Prairie View in 10 years, and the guy said something to me like, "Good luck" or something as I'm shopping for a car. You know, it's all that type of stuff. The other thing is the stories that some of my former players told me as I'm walking around about, you know, different stuff in the meeting or halftime and all that kind of stuff. But the biggest thing to me was getting a chance to see them guys, and I think that's what make homecoming so special. So I'm seeing Jerry Lovelock that I hadn't seen in a minute with his son and a set of twins. I'm seeing a guy that played for me. Look, this true story. We call him Ciabatta because he had a white helmet at Prairie View. We didn't have enough helmets, so he had the Jack in the Box helmet. We call him Ciabatta. So no lie, he calls me and say, "Hey, coach, this Devin, can you write me a reference for a job?" I'm like, "Man, first of all, who is Devin and why are you calling me?" So he had to tell me his nickname, Ciabatta. I'm like, "Man, why you didn't just say this Ciabatta?" But, you know, seeing those guys, the other thing, and man, this is the most manly, sensitive thing, is hugging your former player and have a joke, say, "Coach, I appreciate it," and you hugging him and he hugging you, and both of y'all telling each other, "Man, I love you." And, you know, that's a lost art right there. But I just want to tell all my former guys, you know, I ran into some guys that were there at Prairie View before me. Coach Jackson, I almost lost a couple linemen because they called me Unc as I'm walking to the car after the game. So they almost lost a couple players. So, but, you know, man, I appreciate it. I love being around there. And, man, I'm having a good time. So that's my couple of homecoming stories. If you hear a story that sound outlandish, it's not true.
It's not true, right?
No, it's not. Some of it might be, but all of it's not.
Until proven guilty. That's what
allegedly.
Yeah. No camera phones.
No.
Nah, leave the phones at home. Oh man, but yeah, homecoming was a lot of ups and downs and all around, especially when that rain started to hit. Yes. But I saw somebody posted in the group, the guy from the Channel 2, you know, said, "Hey, even with the rain, PV homecoming got down." Okay, you know, so you know it's always good when people who, you know, from the outside looking in get a chance to experience it, right? And we need that just as much as Coach Jackson's pushing the football, right, and the facilities and those things of that nature and getting that out to the public. The culture of Prairie View is something also that needs to be shared, so people can know what that's like and the experience that you can have here. Fun, but also with the degree, right? You know what I'm saying? Winning games, but also with the brotherhood, right? And so these are things that we need to share more amongst one another, man. And so it's definitely appreciative and happy everybody had a great time. Good that we got out there with no crazy incidents. Of course, we did hear, you know, that high-speed chase that came from Houston and ended close to the campus. Everybody was feeling like, "Oh, man, I hope they got out to PB homecoming." But had nothing to do with us. It had nothing to do with us.
That wasn't us.
It was a close call. But, man, we happy that we had a good time. That everybody was safe, man. But let's get straight into it, man. Biggest winner and biggest loser for this week. I think across HBCU landscape, man, there's a couple opportunities you have here now.
I was gonna say there's some good ones out there.
Winner, biggest loser for this week.
I almost give it a tie between North Carolina Central and Jackson State.
Me too.
Yeah.
That's where I was going with it because definitely Delaware State is the biggest winner, but Gramblin's the biggest winner too. But I give it more to Delaware State because that starts them off 1-0 in the MEAC and put everybody on notice because Delaware State couldn't beat anybody last year. So they just showed that they're about to be a problem. They took out they did like I said, I always tell people, Coach North gonna laugh at this. We used to own a home health company. And nurses, I would try to help them, say, hey, that coding don't look right. The person did have pain. You said they didn't. And then they would frown up and look at me. And I say, look, I'm 5'9", 185, 190 pounds. I'm too little to go to jail. So I'm not going to lie to you. Because Big Luther will be there with a skirt and a wig waiting on me. And so I always told him, if you do see my mug shot and I'm going to jail, just know something bad going to happen that night. Because I'm going to do just like Delaware State did, find the biggest bully in the jail and chop him in his throat. Yeah. So it's going down that night. And that's what Delaware State did to North Carolina Central.
Yeah. If I had to choose one, Jackson still controls their own destiny, right? They still can get the SWAC championship game if they win out. I got to say Central, right? Because you only got 5 conference games. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And to lose the first one to the upstart jump start team too, right? And in the fashion they lost it, I just think it's bad all around. And especially when you see what happened the last few years with Central and how they've lost one that people thought like, man, that shouldn't have happened, right? And so it definitely hurts them. Still opportunities there, right? Because you still got, South Carolina State there that's going to play Delaware State. You still get a chance to play South Carolina State. There's a chance that this thing could end up in a 3-way tie. And then you have a chance still to get into the Celebration Bowl because of kind of how that tiebreaker system works. So it's not the end of the world, but it makes it hard, man, because now, again, things aren't in your control. They're not in your hand anymore, right? And so Mr. Bauer says, why does JSU have one conference loss? Graham was a non-conference game. Last year was a non-conference game. This year has actually come back on the schedule as a conference game, right? So this game counts this year. Last year didn't count, but this year, next year is going to count as a conference game. And then Gray Scar said he agreed Central's the biggest loser, and they lost homecoming too, right? You know what I mean? That is definitely huge, man. Biggest winners.
Delaware State for me, because nobody believed they could do it. They said, they had some good games preseason, but when they start MEAC play, they're not going to be able to do it. I go with them. Oh, my second biggest winner is the Bumblebee from Alabama State because he smoked the Bulldog. Then the Bulldog got beat up by Cam Newton. So the Bumblebee.
Another way around, but we get
you. The B won, right?
The B won the race. Then Cam Newton beat up the Bulldog. Then the B beat up the Bulldog. That was the process. Okay.
The B beat up the Bulldog too. I forgot. I didn't see the end of the video.
Yeah, and the B was Andrew Body, by the way. That's the B I'm talking about. That beat up the Bulldog.
That B put it to him. Yeah.
Coach, who you got?
I'm gonna get the biggest winner to Grambling because nobody thought they would win. Like I say, Delaware State, you might have thought they had a chance, but I'm pretty sure if they look back at it, was some plays that Jackson left on the field a couple times with some deep throws or drop here or there or turnover. But you got to give it to Grambling because probably the only people that thought they were gonna win are people that went to school at Grambling. And then the people at Prairie View were praying that they won. So, like I say, that conference race makes strange bedfellows of the support staff and stuff, or the fans.
Now, let's make it clear. When Coach Northern is saying people from Prairie View is praying that they win, That was not one of my prayer requests. Okay, you know what I'm saying? Listen, after Alabama State lost, because the only thing I always wanted was I wanted opportunity for me to have a chance to make my own destiny, right?
Yeah.
So did I want Alabama State to win so that we could play Alabama State and that could decide everything? Yeah, for sure, definitely, right? But after they lost, I'm like, all right, well, listen, I guess we just got to go take people cookies in their backyard. That was my mindset from that point on, right? You know what I mean? So, Grambling, we appreciate you. So, my biggest winner is Coach Tremaine Jackson. That's my biggest winner this week, right? Because you have put a declaration out, sir, and literally the stars have aligned so that you literally have an opportunity to do in year one what you have said that you wanted to do, right? You know what I mean? And every game as you've gone along the way, more of PV Nation and people outside of PV Nation are starting to believe it's just like the Delaware State, North Carolina Central game, right? It's just like the Grambling and Jackson game. Listen, they went up 10-0, but listen, Morgan got hurt. They didn't score here, had a mishap here that got them a field goal. Listen, the longer you let people stick around, is the longer they start to believe that, you know what, I can win this game. And guess what? There ain't a lot of people out there who said that we're going to do this back in January, right? So they needed to see Texas Southern. They needed to see Northwestern. They needed to see Grambling. But listen, it's a lot of people today that believe who didn't believe before, okay? And it's going to continue to go that way at every step along the way. And so, listen, Prairie View is the biggest winner this weekend because they have a chance to be the first SWAC West team. Yeah, we know that West team hasn't hosted the SWAC championship game yet.
Mm-hmm.
You know that, right? The first opportunity laid out before them to where they can decide on their own, right? Whether the SWAC West will finally have a chance to host the SWAC championship game. And so, listen, that's big. That's huge, man. And so I got Prairie View as the biggest winner, man. Mr. Malone asks, will Delaware State go undefeated in the MEAC? What's your guys' thoughts on this as we transition now to just trying to check out some of the scores, the games, and talk a little about that?
You know, I can't speak on because I haven't seen them play. You know, I'm hearing they're getting some real good quarterback play, defense up and down. I'd like to see them maybe play against a South Carolina State or you never know what you're going to get out of Howard and Morgan. But, they got the lead right now, so you never know.
Yeah. And they only have 6 teams, so they're way ahead with just that one win.
Yes.
I mean, you really only need, 4 more wins now at this point, right? So you got a Norfolk team that's been playing horrible this year. You got a Morgan who hasn't won a D1 game. You got a Howard, right, who, had some bad losses on their schedule, the Sacred Heart and Tennessee State, right? You kind of think like, hey, man, again, if you can get over a South Carolina State, you got a shot, right? You got an opportunity. But, they have a couple weeks to prepare for that, to get ready to see if that's going to be so. But I want to look at the games from this past weekend. Also, shouts out to North Carolina A&T as well. They got their second win this weekend, 28-24. Coming into the season, I think everybody would probably have them as an underdog all season long. And they've been very competitive in multiple games. And so you got to shout out to what, Coach Gibbs is doing over there in North Carolina. Got them fighting, man, and got a 28-24 victory over Campbell. They're 2-6 right now, 2-2 in the CAA. And so, again, they're looking to just build on that momentum now, right, and especially toward the end of the year going into next year, see how things go. But first and foremost, our first game we got up is Alcorn versus Mississippi Valley. Let me share the screen so you guys can see this. Alcorn versus Mississippi Valley State. Boom. All right. So 32-10 victory. This is one game where a lot of people kind of felt Mississippi Valley would have a shot. And Alcorn just took control of the game and really never looked back, right? And so, they basically controlled the game from jump. When you look at the total yardage, Jalen Tolbert, 23 of 32 for 227 yards and 3 touchdowns. You had Josh Brown, 17 of 33 for 151 and a touchdown, but did have Brandon Nunez threw 4 for 7 for 32 yards, but had two interceptions in 7 passes, right?
Right.
Then also rushing, 150 total yards rushing for Alcorn, 53 for Sewell, 51 for Reggie Davis, 37 for Carl McDonald. He had a long of 19. And then for Mississippi Valley, they only had 94 total rushing yards, and so only managed to have 237 yards total, right? 277 yards total this game, so less than 300 yards. And then also looks like there was one fumble by Alcorn that was recovered by Mississippi Valley, but they won the turnover battle 2-1 in this game. So any thoughts on this game between Alcorn and Mississippi Valley? Does this kind of help Alcorn maybe get some momentum going into a game against Texas Southern next weekend?
Hey, the only thing I was thinking was, did G use the Lincoln game for his shower, or did he make this game his first shower in a while? So hopefully my homeboy got it done after that Alcorn win. But that's all I could think about was that was G being able to take a shower for that first win, conference win.
Yeah, and it's weird because I had this game as a toss-up, to be honest, because of Mississippi Valley's defense. Oh, but they did play at Alcorn, so that's a difference right there. So,
yeah, it looks like Valley controlled the clock 32-27. Had 30 less penalty yards than Alcorn, but again, those two turnovers were really probably huge. Two turnovers, 2 interceptions. And I think they got down this game really early. Alcorn kind of took the lead and got up, I believe, like 16-0, in this game. And so really, Mississippi Valley was trying to fight back, right? So, yeah, I think 22-0 at halftime, right? 32-7 at the end of the third. So, really was put away really early. Now, Bethune-Cookman, Arkansas Pine Bluff, it was 14-7 at halftime, 28-14 at the end of the third, and then 31-14 in score. And so Bethune-Cookman, again, getting out of there with another victory. Listen, this is 3 wins, right, for Coach Raymond Woody. And so, in his third year, you're now seeing him kind of get things rolling in conference. They're 4-4 overall, 3-1 in the SWAC. Arkansas Pine Bluff falls to 1-3. They put themselves in really, really, really bad shape. They're really one game now from being eliminated, from having a shot at the SWAC championship game. Cam Ramson, 13-20, 170 yards, right? You had Christian Peters threw 41 times this game, only 185 yards total, 1 touchdown. And then it looks like Bethune-Cookman, man, really did a lot of damage on the ground, 53 rushes for 247 yards and 4 touchdowns. It looks like they did it by committee, right? Robinson, 62 in the touchdown. Rashawn Brown, 50, 42 for Ali Scott in the touchdown, 30 for Marquise Johnson, etc. And so they did it with a committee, while Arkansas Pine Bluff only racked up 112 yards on the ground. And so, again, they had less than 300 yards total offense. And now what's interesting, Coach, when you look at this Bethune-Cookman team, this week against Arkansas Pine Bluff, last week against Southern, they've been able to hold both of those teams to 14 points. Have they turned the table? The corner right as a defense, or is this more a product of the two teams that they were playing that's really trying to figure things out on the offensive side of things?
Yeah, I like to say it's more a product of scheduling. Normally, Pine Bluff usually puts up better numbers on the offensive side of the ball with Coach, I want to say Coach Huff, but it's just sometimes it's best to get hot at the right time or play better, have your schedule work out a certain way for you. So it's a product of scheduling more than I think maybe better defense. So once they get some teams with some balance, then I think you'll really see, are they improving or was it a product of what we saw?
Right. Yeah, that's what it looks like to me. They're really coming along. And you look, Bethune-Cookman threw for less yards than Pine Bluff, but Pine Bluff threw it around a lot more. But looked like Bethune just gave everybody the ball on the rushing. So that lets me know they have some wide receivers running it, might have some jet sweeps. So they're really keeping you on your toes. And then in Florida, I'm sure they have a lot of that Florida speed. So it's they've been real difficult. But it would be interesting to see going down the line how their defense holds up.
Yeah.
But this, with the injury to Morgan, this makes the Jackson State game real interesting because if you're paying attention, they're both 3-1.
Yep.
So that game could actually come down to mean something. I know it sounds crazy, but that would have sounded crazy at the beginning of the year. But wow, that game is big now.
Yeah, I think we said that a couple of weeks ago that game may have something to do with who's hosting or who's in the SWAC championship. So, like you said, man, you got to be like them Republicans in office. You got to go out there and get what you can get for yourself. You don't need no help, no handouts. Go get your own.
Handouts.
And go get your own. Yeah, I mean, looking at their schedule, right? Next week they got Mississippi Valley at home. Then they go to Grambling and go to Jackson. And now, obviously, knowing that, Xavier T-Stat right now, we don't know his situation. Obviously, we hope that in general, he's just fine, period, right? Yeah. Regardless of football, that he's just going to be better because that injury looked really, really bad. But when you talk about, Grambling not having him there to be able to make those dynamic plays, you talk about also that game now being one where you got to say Bethune is coming into the Valley game favorite and the Grambling game favorite. And so if they win those two, they're 5-1 now with a game at Jackson that could potentially decide a lot of stuff or either shake a lot of stuff up for that SWAC East because Jackson also plays FAMU, I believe, next week, right? And so, again, that game will determine a lot, especially with Jacoby and Morgan now out. How is that game going to play out? If FAMU coming in and winning 2 games, now they're 2-1 in the SWAC, and also they put up some points the last few games, right? And we'll look at that game here too. But Bethune-Cookman is really in a good spot, and that SWAC East, man. People always talked about the Wild Wild West. Well, it's now the Wild Wild East, all right? Because good old Grambling State University finally putting their G back on their helmets. It's definitely different now. Again, we had Prairie View playing Lincoln. That's really nothing to talk about. 38-0. But we know that was the last 2 quarters were basically 8-minute quarters because they wanted to get the game over before the rain delay and things of that nature. I think they just ended the second quarter like halfway through after that rain delay and just said we're going to halftime and come back out and end it. So Coach Jackson made said, hey man, we wanted to get the win and we wanted to get some stuff. Work on some stuff, right? So that was our opportunity to do those things. So that was the decision they made. So moving on from there, before we talk about the Alabama State game, I did want to talk about, because we mentioned Florida A&M, 43-35 win here, 19-14 at halftime. At the end of third quarter, right, it was 21-22, FAMU to a 1-point lead. And then again, look at that high scoring fourth quarter between both of those teams, 21-14 respectively. And so the game ends 43-35. Listen, Southern took the lead in that fourth minute. And I really thought, they got a chance to win this game. And it's, that defense that Southern has prided themselves on over the last few years, it just didn't show up. And bad tackling really is what really did them in terms of FAMU winning this game. And when you had on the R.J. Johnson, obviously 22-32, 287 yards, touchdown. The big thing was that Franklin got hurt early on, 10 carries, 54 yards, right? That's a 5.4 yard average. But, man, Jamal Haley came in and toted the rock for FAMU, 19 for 107 and 3 touchdowns. Listen, there was one that really was a dagger where he bounced off a guy from Southern, man, and took it to the house after Southern had scored that touchdown. And I was like, man, they just literally they had the game right here, man. They could have probably took this one home. Trey Holly, 26 carries, 145 yards, 2 touchdowns. He ran the ball very well. Southern with 217 total yards on the ground, 197 through the air, 12 of 28 for Ashton Strother, right? So both quarterbacks were able to, move the ball through the air. Both teams able to move the ball on the ground. FAMU just able to move the ball a little bit efficiently in both areas. What was y'all thoughts on this game, Coach? Was you able to see a little bit of this one?
No, I didn't actually see any of that game. I was sort of keeping up with it or get a text message here or there about what was going on, but I did not see it. But from what I understand, It was some great back and forth. Guys were making, like you said, some plays. It wasn't just some runs. It was some big plays, second effort plays. I think if Southern had to go back, once again, third down, they look good, but 10 penalties, if you cut half of that, that's 50-something yards because they were close to 100 yards in penalties. So if they clean that up, they may get back in the win column soon. But they did a good job of running the ball because they had 5 rushing TDs, from what I understand.
Yeah, it was definitely interesting. And Mr. Campbell here says, man, Southern never beats FAMU. And unfortunately right now, that's what it's showing. Definitely this one was a really good game. If you watch this game was actually a really good game. I was able to watch it back and watch some of the end of it. And as Gray Scar says, I don't know where in the world they get 17,000 from. We talked about a lot about how people be making up these attendance numbers. But listen, it was multiple shots from guys who was there really showing because they were showing how, hey, man, Southern fans are not liking what they see because this is the start of the game and ain't nobody here, right? I don't know where they get 17,000 from, but maybe that's how many people purchased tickets, originally, because it wasn't no 17,000 in this game. Like they say, maybe it was 7,000, whatever, right? But hey, listen, to each their own. My own thing is saying, make up your own numbers, okay, right? You know what I'm saying? You don't got to be
we put 17,853 or something. Make it more believable.
Yeah, not an even number.
Exactly, right?
Yeah,
like make it end in an odd number, first of all. 17,001 would have been better, okay? You know what I mean? It said it was more people in the band there than spectators. Listen, I'm just saying we already know what it was. But anyway, it said worst start in the history of Southern football. That is true. That is true. And, I think this team played hard, right?
Yeah.
Even last week, Terrence Graves asked the question and he made a statement like, man, did you see the last drive of Prairie View went down? Those guys stood up for 3 plays. They did, right? And so I think they have stayed playing hard, right? They have just not been able to make the play in order to really get, some victories in these games, man. And so, but now we talked about Bethune-Cookman, right? Let's talk about FAMU now, because as Mr. Campbell says here, right? FAMU is still in it too. There's a 3-way tie right now. FAMU's 2-1. There's 3 teams at 3-1. And Jackson obviously has the win over Alabama State that's putting them in the lead. But this is what FAMU has the last way, right? Jackson State, Arkansas Pine Bluff, Alabama A&M, Bethune, and Mississippi Valley. I think if you would look at all 4 of the teams that's involved, I think FAMU has maybe one of the most interesting schedules, right? Because they still have to play, even though Alabama A&M team has not shown that they can play good defense. Up until this past game with Alabama State, they have been able to put points on the board, even with their backup QB, right? And so I think that game is still an interesting one. But, man, the Jackson State game next week at night is going to be huge. If FAMU can get past Jackson, do you realize 3-way tie, Jackson, Alabama State, and FAMU, right, with a victory there. Well, it won't be a 3-way tie, right? It really be FAMU will be in the lead because we know it's going to happen next week at Panther Stadium. So FAMU could win that game and literally had a tiebreaker, right, over Jackson if Prairie View handles business. So, and what's y'all thoughts about FAMU and where they are right now? Because a few weeks ago, Cozy was out of there, right?
Yeah.
They got an offense that's putting up over 500 yards, you know what I'm saying, on the ground and in the air. They're putting up 500 total yards, right? What do you feel about this team? Now the defense has to figure some things out, right? It's like things have flipped. The defense was playing a lot better in the beginning of the season, and it seems like they're getting progressively worse, and the offense was struggling, and now they've got progressively better. And so, but what do you feel about kind of where FAMU is right now? And with Jackson coming in with probably a true freshman quarterback because Jacoby Morgan is out.
Yeah, I think the thing of it is going to be who can get off to a good start in that game and sort of impose their will, because both of them probably going to try to run the ball a lot more than they want to. But, everybody knows Jackson got a big old offensive line, and they got some big receivers. So it might give them some one-on-one matchups, but at the end of the day, it's going good start, low turnovers, low penalties is going to win that game. I think it's going to be a great environment, though. I guarantee you that much.
No, it's definitely going to be that. Yeah.
Yes.
And I'm curious to see if they're going to use the freshman quarterback that's very skilled or the experienced quarterback who actually, has been playing. And that's going to be an interesting one. And really, before you even leave that game, everybody jokes us about Prairie View played nobody. You guys aren't doing anything with the number one defense. But if you look at this game, Trey Holly ran for 145 yards, back to his normal self. Mm-hmm. But when they played Prairie View, Trey Holly didn't have 100 yards. So, while we've held, and Lionel can correct me, he's better at numbers than me, but we've held 4 of the top 10 running backs in the SWAC for 100 yards. Yeah. So they can say what they want, that we don't do anything, don't play anybody, but the numbers are there. And that's why I feel like the game this weekend is going to be big because, people can say, Prairie View, sorry, you haven't played them, but I still don't believe that win or lose, I don't think Andrew Body's seen the defense like this one. So it's going to be an interesting game. And we haven't seen an offense like the one he runs. So we'll definitely get a chance to see which strength on strength is going to play out. But I just wanted to point out the running back. But FAMU, that's going to be an interesting game against Jackson State this weekend because without Morgan and FAMU improving, that makes this game pretty interesting.
Yeah, it's gonna be real interesting, man. And looking at real quick, Alabama State, Alabama A&M. I don't think there's any point looking at this, man. 49-6 at halftime. I mean, that's just a straight. Demolish. This is like you see two people fight and you feel bad for the person on the ground.
Yeah.
Hey, what them kids say they walked in the trap and took over. Them boys back in the day. You say, Coach, they came in, they got the money and the dope. Ain't no losing for them.
Yeah, they took over.
Man, this is like, man, you just got to come on and say, hey, man, listen, he good. He good. Like, I ain't got nothing. They ain't even my friend. I'm just take him to the hospital, right? You know what I mean? Like 49-6, straight bludgeon, right? And like I heard Herb say, we took everything out on Alabama A&M of what Jackson made us feel the week before, right? So Andrew Body, man, 4 touchdowns through the air, 1 on the ground. I think 2 on the ground, 6 total, man. I think right now he has over 2,000 passing yards, 24 passing touchdowns, man. And he leads the SWAC in passing and in rushing, by the way. Mm-hmm. Boy's been going crazy. Let's be clear, right? We've definitely been going crazy. So it's going to be a great matchup next week. But obviously the big one, man, Coach, Grambling State, 26-4 over Jackson. Man, what was your thoughts on this game? It was very interesting to see Grambling get up in the fourth quarter. I think they went up by 2 scores at one point. That was a big blown play where Nate Rembert beat the safety. I mean, the safety just took a horrible angle, right? But and they got back in the game there. Then, of course, went down to score, took the lead. And when T-Set went down, I thought the game was over. Not gonna lie. Mm-hmm. And Coach, I wanted you to talk about that 4th down play. What were your thoughts on that coming from a defensive side of things? Because Jackson came on the blitz, got a backup QB in, right? He threw one pass through the receiver's hand, didn't catch it, dropped it. He scrambled on another play, didn't get any yards, just back to the line of scrimmage. Now it's 4th and 10, and they came on the blitz. What was your thoughts there? Maybe what was going through the defensive coordinator's mind of why they were bringing that pressure on that play instead of maybe sitting back and making him put the ball in the window and letting that defensive front kind of get home? Obviously you got to pick your poison, right? Because in the day, if you did something and it worked, like you say, we're not talking about it, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah, right. I think the biggest thing is sometimes as a defensive coach, you put in your mind, I'm not gonna let that joker sit back there and pat that ball and find somebody open or scramble, which he still end up scrambling. You know, they had some guys back there, but they just didn't make the play. So I think that's the pick your poison thing. Can he run and get the first down, or does he have to throw it? And I think it's a fine line. I think most people cut they blitz off at 13 yards if they're going to blitz on third or fourth down. If you need more than that, they'll sit back and play zone. I think it was 4th and 9, and I thought he was going to get more than that. So it's just one of those, a football player made a play for him. You know, that's all you could chalk it up as. And your guys had a chance to make a play, and they didn't make it. So that was my thought process. I have no problem with a joker bringing pressure unless it's, like I say, much longer distance. Yeah, so I think it's 4th and 9 right there.
Yeah, this is that 4th down play right here, right? Obviously, 5 wide. And you see, you know, they got everybody essentially on that line. I saw people kind of talk about that as well. Maybe you can explain that and say, you know, from, again, a defense perspective, you know, why they would have, you know, they got the 4 DBs, right? Basically at the line of game there. But it looks like they're also all were manned up, right? Because, you know, they came on that blitz.
So the thing of it, you figuring if you bring in pressure or showing pressure, you hoping to get what most people say is a hot throw. Where if it's you probably not gonna get a hot throw in this situation because of the distance. Most of your hot throws are 3 to 5 yards, and then you have to hope a guy make a play. They were trying to get to the sticks and make a play, so that's what that is. Trying to make him throw it quick, then you rally up and make a tackle. That's it in a nutshell.
Yeah. And Mr. Carey, what was your thoughts, right?
I think they gambled, and like Coach Northern said, he made a football play. He just really, really wanted it because it wasn't like people weren't in position.
Yeah.
He gave the first guy just enough shape, you know, and he didn't waste a lot of time beating the guy that came off the edge. He just ran at him faster than he could get him. And if he hadn't stepped up and stayed back there to pass, he would have got sacked.
Yeah, one guy got out of his rush lane, and the guy right there, why he stepped to his left, I have no idea. He's the guy that probably should see the guy dropping in the middle.
Yeah.
Unless he's dropping off a 3 strong. Other than that, he probably should be dropping a little bit more to his right, staying under that, and then that would have made it easier for him to make that tackle.
That was the guy I thought, and at the end of the day, right, this guy coming off the edge, scot-free.
That one off the edge, yeah.
Really, he just got to make the tackle, right?
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, you kind of got to live with that because, hey, you scot-free. You just got to get him to the ground. But that was the one guy that I thought maybe that linebacker, I don't know if that was a lineman that dropped back there. I thought he was probably supposed to be in that position where he was kind of essentially in a passing lane, but also as a spy, right, for the QB if he kind of did what he did, because he's going there, you see him going, and he's getting there, but he
does look like the spy.
Yeah, he's a step too far, and man, the lane just open, and he just beats him. He really just beats him to the spot, man. If he was a step over, he might not get there, right? But Mr. Campbell did bring up a good point too, Coach. You know, at the end of the day, that big kick really hurt.
That's the hidden yardage in football that people don't think about.
Yeah, that really hurt there because it really put them in a position to where they now on 35, right? And so you only got to go instead of having to go, you know, maybe 50 yards right now, you got to go 35, you know, to get the field goal range. And at the end of the day, man, the kicker just makes a big clutch kick too, right? You know what I mean?
And you know what's crazy about it? So, you know, I did the game when Prairie View and Grambling played in the Cotton Bowl, and I remember watching that kid warm up. Now, he made a lot of long kicks, but he was spraying some. He almost hit a band that was warming up. You know, just it was some bad hooks. But I remember saying to myself, man, that kid I listen to the sound of the ball when kickers hit it. It sounds more like a bass than a slap when a guy has a good leg. And when he lined up for him, like, I know he got the leg for it. It's just a matter, are they going to protect and is he going to get it up? But there was no doubt in my mind he had a good chance to make it.
Now, are you shocked a little bit that that, I mean, well, I guess at the end of the day, right? To me, this game, I think when you have a defense that you believe is is a defense like that, they have to help you to get out of this game right here, right? And I think
Yes.
Jackson defense allowed Grambling and T-Set to make one too many plays that kind of put the game out of reach for them to kind of get back on top and kind of keep it there. Because again, when you got a guy like Morgan that goes down, you kind of rattle for a second, right? And so it takes you a second to get back and kind of get your bearings. And that's kind of when you need that defense to really step up and to keep things in order. But Coach, how do you feel about Lockhart going forward? He made a couple big plays in the running game, right? 7 of 44, a touchdown there. Had a couple big scrambles, again, a couple big passing plays downfield. He's a guy who probably would have redshirted if Morgan was still here, right? So he played a couple games, but he wouldn't have played more than 4. Now you're in a position where you still got a team that you believe can win the championship. How do you go forward, right? Do you kind of just, rip the Band-Aid off and say, hey, we're going to go with Lockhart? Or do you feel, Parker Stouffer is feasible? Because, again, he didn't have a bad – he was bad, right? 7 to 12 and 91 yards, right? They just needed another little extra spark, right? And I think that's what Lockhart brought him in the second half. But it's not that Stouffer played bad, in my opinion, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So what's your thought process there? If you were kind of in TC shoes, how would you move forward?
I'm going to probably have to go with a sort of 2 quarterback system. Maybe one is going to give me some power read, some quarterback draw game, some sprint out passes, and Parker may be more of my drop back guy. Or we gonna turn around and hand it to those running backs and get some play action, maybe get some established in the running game will help either quarterback, because now, like I say, you'll get some one-on-one matchups outside, and Jackson got a trio of kids, in my opinion, that are pretty doggone good at the receiver spot. So you get some one-on-one matchups, and this is what you tell your quarterback. I don't care what you do not overthrow the guy. Give him a chance to, especially Savage. Give that kid a chance to make a back shoulder throw, what the kids say, mouse somebody. So, give them a chance. That's all I'm gonna say. Do not overthrow them guys. Other than that, don't throw in the double coverage. Work from the hash to the numbers. Do not throw the ball over the middle of the field unless it's absolutely nobody back there or is one-on-one with a slot receiver.
Right. No, that makes a lot of sense, man. And Gray Scar here says they still not sure if Jackson State played bad or Grambling played good.
I mean, it's a combination of both, because
I think it's a mixture there, right?
Yeah, and the thing about it, Grambling don't have no fear of Jackson. They beat them last year. They were the only team to beat them last year. Matter of fact, I heard the guy, and those some good commentators on the game. I look at all that, but the fact that they last loss was to Grambling, sort of tells you everything.
Right. Yeah. And that's what's up, man. And I see HBCU coach here said them cats wouldn't let you talk in the pack. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just asking questions. I was just asking questions because all last week, coach, I heard stats don't matter. And I understand that stats are for losers, right? You know what I'm saying? Stats are for losers.
Yeah, that's what he said.
Especially internally, right? When we talking about my team and we talking about stats, like, stats don't mean that. I don't care nothing about the stats. You missed that play right there, okay? That's what I care about, right?
Yes.
But now, externally, when we talking about from the people that's watching the game, the people that's commentating on the game, the people that's judging, we use stats. Last time I checked, we use stats, right? So they trying to tell me that the fact that the stats show that, hey, man, this Prairie View defense has been playing great, right? We've been playing some good ball. That doesn't matter if it's showing that, hey, right now we have the best defense in the SWAC. We shouldn't say we got the best defense in the SWAC. Just say you're giving up the least yards in the SWAC. I mean, but what?
Yeah.
We saying the same thing, right? But now all I'm saying, coach, is if you saying that your defense is like that, this is the game that they got to win, because it don't matter if it's special teams. It don't matter if it's offense or defense. It's a team game. And sometimes the offense got to go pull it out. Some teams, the special teams got to be special. In some games, the defense got to win the game. And this game, in my personal opinion, was a game that Jackson's defense was supposed to win the game for them, and they didn't. And, when I'm asking my question, they ain't want to hear me. They ain't want to hear me, but it's okay.
No, they want to hear it.
We live to move on. But right now, that's why we got to talk to Coach Northern, because some of these teams don't know how to deal with this RPO action, Coach. They don't know how to deal with these different reads that they're getting. And so since we need to help some of these teams out who defenses ain't like that, you know what I mean? Coach, I try to keep you out of my nonsense, okay? But you in it now, okay? But listen, can you talk to them and help us to understand how can a defense handle these RPO actions, these read actions, right? You know what I mean? Where should their eyes be? I heard that a lot when he was talking about the Central game against Delaware State in the run game, how guys' eyes was in the wrong place, and that really got them beat a lot, you know, in the run game as well. And so can you talk a little bit about that, man, and help us in this edition of, you know, saying Under the Headset?
So I'm having an issue with the board, so I'm gonna just sort of explain it. So pretty much for us, no matter who our quarterback was, we had, oh man, let me see if I can get this. I'm gonna see. Can you see this? Can everybody see that? Let me see.
Yeah, I can see. Yep.
So on this board, the easiest way, pretty much anytime we saw two safeties high, and I'm gonna just tell you what most people call it. I'm gonna draw it up and then get back to it. So we call it, a lot of people call it, I'm gonna just tell you what we called it at Grambling. We called it open trips right strong, X option 9-11. So we start out there 9 and then a 1. If you were in a slot for us, a 1 was a speed out, and then you see my Y, he's running a sit route. So also off of this, we could run, the easiest way to do it, we might call it Picasso, draw, or we might tag some action in here with the run games, trying to make sure the lights. So basically, the spacing will determine that's probably going to be his first read, or depending on what the quarterback saw backside. Like I'm gonna talk a little bit later about some of our top guys or top receivers. If we got a DeAndre Cooper right there, we know they're gonna rotate to some type of cover 3. Then we gonna get this guy probably a sluggo, a bang 8, an outside go, or something like that. But off of this, people gonna call this, like I say, Picasso mean draw. Some people gonna call it that, and we'll run the ball based off of how many guys are in the box. The other thing that we want to do, and what some people gonna say, get nasty with it, just say some teams are gonna start doing like this. I'm gonna go Mike, Sam, and they'll bring the strong safety down. Pre-snap read. I don't know, try to make sure you can see that. So if we want to make sure, I might say, Coach, we need a completion right here. So what we'll do, we might call power weak or something like that. We'll block this up. Sometimes we wouldn't even fake it to that guy because we knew we were going to read this guy right here. If you pull, that's what makes RPOs hard. That guy's going to get a run read, and now this guy here is just going to run the space. So that's some of the things that you'll see in a sort of predetermined RPO. We're not reading an end man on the line. We reading the box, who's high, and Coach Orlando, who coached me in college and was the offense coordinator, he probably got more championship rings than anybody as an assistant coach. If we got one-on-one back here, he'll say, we're going to let the quarterback determine what we're going to call. But that was just, like say, Picasso, draw, power. We could give him sweep action. We'll get both of these linebackers out there, and all he got to do is walk off the ball. So that's just a simple RPO for the quarterback. And most of the time, we're going to predetermine what we're going to call in here, especially and that would be our 2-point play. Sometimes we'll go here, and then, like I say, we'll run the stab. Some people call it stab stick, 9-11. We'll go empty, and we'll bring the tailback out and run the same play outside. And this guy here, some people call it Dino, Dodge, Sucker. He's gonna run the option route, and this guy here can't be right. That's the way we would tell. It's in the Bible. This joker here can't be right. And look, the other thing we could do is, and I was know a lot of lines, but we could block trap and run quarterback draw for our 2-point play. So it would be empty, stick or stab, T option, and he'll call trap or whatever he want to block. He might just say zone it, but if you, like I said, you want to get nasty, you block it as a trap and then 2-point play. And that's actually when we played Stephen F. Austin and beat them. That was our 2-point play, and we ran it a couple times. One time I remember we threw the ball at Patrick Gant and got the 2-point play, and another time I want to say Jerry or Smiley ran it in on a 2-point play.
Hey, listen, that's under the headset with Coach Heisch Northern. Hey, listen, so I think that's interesting, right? Because, I mean, as a defense, that makes it real difficult because essentially, you know, you giving, like you say, you giving the linebackers that run read, right? You kind of just running that receiver basically right to that space that emptied out. You know, as a defense, how do you adjust to a team that's kind of hitting you like that? I mean, because it's kind of, I know you said it many times before that there's always an answer essentially to every defense, right? So, but how do you counter that?
I think the easiest thing to do, if you got the people to do it, is play cover 1 to it, or you got to play what most people call like split field coverage. You might play quarters to the 3 receiver side, man to the back side, or you kick what we call kick the front to the 1 receiver side. Now that lets your linebacker slide out a little bit more, but in any most defensive coaches, they being honest, they'll tell you pull action on zone read option is gonna give you fits. Because I didn't care if it was 3rd and 20. My linebacker's probably gonna play run first. That's what I'm gonna tell him. Play the run, and then we'll react to everything else. So if you get that pull read, you gotta respect the pull read. Some people all they do is zone, read the backside in. Pullers give you problems in the zone read game. But go to man and tell you, hey, man, if you on this shoulder, if that shoulder goes to the opposite side of the field, you better be on that shoulder, and everybody else should be manned up. So he shouldn't have anywhere to go with the ball.
I got you. Mr. Mickens, you got any thoughts?
No, it just looks like the linebacker has to make some business decisions. And sometimes you may guess wrong.
Look, this the God honest truth. What Coach Orlando would say. He say, first of all, he got to get a huddle call. Second of all, he probably tired his own work because of how many plays he running. Third of all, he probably wondering where his girlfriend at right now while all this going on. You think he gonna be able to make all these adjustments in 15 or 20 seconds? Oh, the tailback is at B2, and he gonna pick that up that fast. So that was our theory. We gonna try to run them till they tongue hanging out and make them play while they tired. So that's it in a nutshell.
And then I mean the quicker your offense is moving too, right?
I remember Coach Orlando.
Quicker.
Coach Orlando would make them. He make you cover the whole field. Coach Orlando did. He liked multiple guys out wide, and they get up and run it real fast. It's difficult.
He'll tell you, give him an X, give him a quarterback that can count to 6 or 7, and give him a running back, and he'll put some points on the board for you.
Yeah. Hey, listen. I mean, that's the benefit, right, of having the different options, right?
Yes.
You know what I mean? And so at the end of the day, man, you got to make a decision, right? And hopefully you guess right more than often. And that's also why you need athletes, right, on the defensive side of the ball, because, you know, regardless of if you're guessing right or wrong, you got to be able to adjust mid-play, like as the play is going on. You sometimes make plays that you may even be in position to make, right? You know, so that's just
you got to win. Yeah. And I think another thing too is just getting penetration is a big key to it, especially if all people doing is zoning. But if you got people pulling, now you got a spill, box, wrong shoulder, whatever you call it. That's a whole nother dynamic right there.
Right.
Gotcha. But man, hey, if y'all got any more questions regarding the game, what you guys would like to see or hear about it, again, let us know. You can put it in the comment section. Coach Northern is gonna come and he's gonna break it down, man. We talked a lot about a lot of things so far. Listen, from the jump when he started talking about the position of the running backs. Ever since then, I've been watching, and every game is it ain't failed yet. It ain't failed me yet, right? But listen, I ain't playing linebacker. And I ain't got to notice it 5 seconds after that play in, right? That's the thing, right? Because you on the field, right, while it's going, and they back up on the line, you don't know what's about to hit you, right? So, but that's also why it's so important to watch film, man, for these guys at the end of the day, because you need to know some stuff that's like, hey, I see this formation, I know what's about to happen, so that you ain't got to think as much, but you can just play and react, right? Tell coach to go find us some film examples. That would be nice. So
hey, I tell you what, if not to be curt or whatever, if you go on YouTube and look up RPO, and if you probably can type in stick concept, stab concept, 9-11. I'm looking at my phone right now, and I'm gonna just tell you what some people call that same play. Trips right, Dallas. Dallas means draw, stick. Rip, tiger, stick, X dodge. So the X dodge mean the one receiver he can run any route he wants to, or the quarterback will tell him what to run. Trips right, blue, paint. So paint goes back to, it's going to be a draw, stab. And then open right trips, we X call it, 9-11, and then we'll give it a run tag so we could call who we want to pull. Do we want to run zone? Do we want to show quick pass set? So that's the same play in a nutshell. But if you look up stab or stick route, it'll probably come up, and you'll be able to see a whole lot of variations of that same concept. And some people go into the reads, but I always say, man, I'll tell you what we're gonna call it, and depending on how you line up to it, you're still not gonna be able to stop it.
I think that would also be something too one day that we can also talk about, right? It's just calls in general, right? You know what I'm saying? Breaking down calls, you know what I mean? And so like you say, so people can know, like, hey, okay, in this Picasso, we know that's a draw, right? And so when we put the plays together, this is how everybody knows what they're doing, right? How we come in the huddle, we call this play. This is what the receivers is listening for. This is what the running back is listening for. This is what, this is how we determine what the protection is going to be from an offensive line, QB standpoint, and just, kind of walking through that. I think that would be something that would be cool to also break down and talk about too on one of these under the headsets as well. So,
yes, sir.
There you go. But that said, man, we got a couple big games coming up this weekend. I think this is one. This is one real interesting weekend. We talk about SWAC football. Man, there's a lot of games that I think are going to be major. This Alabama A&M Grambling game, I think a few weeks ago would have been even bigger when you talk about having Quad Brown there, T-Set there, right? I think now it kind of has taken a step back, right, because of the loss of those two quarterbacks. But I think this is also still going to be a great game between two teams who is trying to figure some things out, right, and continue to try to build what Sam Shade is trying to build over there in Huntsville, and also Grambling and what Mickey Joes are doing. Right now they're 5-3 on the year with 4 games left. I know they would love to end the year on a strong note. And so, of course, we got the Alabama A&M Graham game. I also think, you got Southern that's still trying to get a win going to Arkansas Pine Bluff. And so I think that's going to be a big game. Arkansas Pine Bluff has really been struggling on the offensive side of things. Southern is now looking as if they kind of understand that, hey, we're going to run the ball and we're going to lean on Trey Holly a lot more than we have in the past. Yeah. So that's going to be a nice game. You also got Mississippi Valley playing against Bethune-Cookman this upcoming week, right? And Bethune is just trying to keep it going, man, and see, hey, can we get to 4 wins in the SWAC and keep our chance, right, of getting to the SWAC championship game alive. And then, listen, Alcorn State and Texas Southern, I think this is actually a really, really big game for Texas Southern this week. A home game for them, which really hasn't meant a lot because they have had literally nobody showing. We get a lot of flack for fans, but I mean,
oh man, but
Texas
their game.
Southern, it's like, is it just because people just know they ain't gonna have no people show up? So it's like we ain't even gonna talk about Texas Southern. They have nobody there. But listen, nobody be at Shell Energy Stadium, but they got Alcorn coming in, and we know what happened last time when Alcorn had a chance and had a shot. Man, Texas Southern spoiled that so big, and man, wouldn't Alcorn love to kind of reverse engineer that this weekend coming into Houston? And I think they just had a really good game with Tolbert. Right, they figured out they got the 2 running backs going.
Yeah,
defense is playing pretty well over the last few games. Can they come in and get a win against Texas Southern, who's really squeaked by Valley, squeaked by Grambling, right, and benefited from the injury bug? That's going to be a huge game. But I think the 2 biggest ones, Coach, is one, Jackson State and FAMU. So this is the first one we wanted to touch on before getting into the preview game. But Jackson State and FAM, and we talked about it before, Jacobian Morgan is hurt. From what has been said so far, he might be gone for the season, but definitely gone for a foreseeable future and not going to be there at this game against Jackson. So you either got Stouffer, who's been there multiple years, an older guy, right, who can definitely get the ball to the receiver's hands, and you got a Lockhart, who essentially is very much in the mold of what Jacobian Morgan has been. Big kid, right, with a strong arm, who can also run and get kind of outside the pocket and do some things. Who is TC going to go with? But also Florida A&M is starting to kind of get rolling on the offensive side of things with some of that speed that they got with, handing the ball off and getting it done on the ground, but also in the air as well, even though RJ hasn't put the ball in the end zone a lot through the air. He's moved the ball a lot through the air. And so, Coach, what's your initial thoughts when you think about this Jackson State-Florida A&M game that's taking place in Tallahassee?
Run game and special teams. Who can get the big kickoff return? I know both of them have real good kickoff return, punt return guys as well. So that's going to be the key. Running it, third down, being able to run when the other team know you want to run, and a big kickoff or a big punt return. And I think that's going to be the key to the game right there.
And obviously Jackson still has Travis Terrell there, right, who's been dynamic all last year, and that hasn't really shown that flash yet this year. But you always fear that, if you're the other team, of him being able to do something like that. Coach Mickens, man, so Jackson is really kind of trying to get their bearings under them after losing this game and losing, right, their starting quarterback. Do you see in the future FAMU being able to figure things out against now a better team, right, than they faced over the last few weeks? Even though, again, they've been able to get the win, it's definitely been against teams that are also trying to figure some things out with Alcorn, with Southern. At the end of the day, they won, and they feel a lot better now being 2-1 than obviously they were, 1-2 or 0-3. Can Florida A&M get this victory? This weekend, Mr. Mickens?
It is possible because they're just like Bethune now. They can have Jackson State in their sights, and if they can beat them, they have the tiebreaker over them. Mm-hmm. So this is a game that if they haven't been hungry all year, they should be hungry for this one. The only thing, they will give up some rushing yards, FAMU.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking that Coach TC is going to probably lean more on his run game and safer, shorter passes and looking for a lot of yak. So I think that they're going to try to exploit that because, with Morgan going down and they're trying to adjust, instead of making a whole bunch of big adjustments, they're going to just hand the ball off.
I think that's what they need to do. Yeah, I think that makes sense, right? Lean on the offensive line. Florida A&M has given up big plays, right, in the rushing game over the last 2 weeks with Alcorn and Southern. The question is really, can they stop Jackson on the ground, right? And Coach TC has not shown that he doesn't remember that what they are, right? Because even this past game, 45 rushes, right, to 26 pass attempts. He knows he's a running team, right? And so he's going to lean on that run game, lean on those multiple running backs that they got. I think this game is going to be close, though. I really think it's going to come down to the wire. I'm leaning Jackson, though, to be able to come out with the victory. Again, they still have everything ahead of them and everything in front of them. I just don't know if FAMU right now has enough on the defensive side of things to make the stops they need to make in order to win this game. And so I got Jackson getting the victory, man. But before we get into our last game and kind of break down the Prairie View Alabama State, huge game. And, Coach, I don't think there's been a bigger game in Panther Stadium than this game here. We've had some great games before, but I think this is the biggest game that Prairie View has seen at Panther Stadium. Getting a chance to really see, possibly in most people's minds, right, maybe number one against the number two ranked teams in HBCU ball right now. Maybe for some people 2 and 3 or 1 and 3, whatever, right? But it's a top 3 matchup, right, in HBCU ball. So we're going to talk about this in a second. But, Coach, I want you to touch on this Northern Lights because we talk about some offensive production, right? We talk about offense with Andrew Body, and we talk about what Prairie View is going to have to do on the offensive side. But we've had some guys that do some damage on the offensive side of things that you've seen yourself since 2005, right? And so who are some of those top offensive guys that you've seen at Prairie View? We're going to talk about that in the Northern Lights. So, Coach, go ahead and take it away.
All right, so I'm gonna start off with a guy. He was an offensive lineman that made all conference 2 times. And look, I missed the parade. They had a parade for the year that we won the championship because I was recruiting this kid out of Marshall, Texas, Trey Glover. 6'2", 6'3" 300 pounds. If he would have been an inch or 2 taller, he probably ended up playing, at a different school. But, kid I recruited, and he ended up coming and starting for us, made all conference for us 2 out of the 4 years that he was there, playing offensive tackle, by the way. Now, we did have one kid, James Deacle, that came to us as a defensive lineman. He made all conference 4 years. But I just think if you're going to take an offensive lineman to, sort of start a program, I think you take Trey over Deacle just because of the size. And Trey could play the inside too. But man, he, probably one of the better kids to be around, was involved in SGA, all that. He'd come to me like, Coach, I need to go to something on the other side of campus. One of them, I just gave him this look like, are you serious, man? But, he was my guy. And like I said, I got him myself to come to Prairie View, and he redshirted then played. The next 2, oh man, this was tough. If I had to pick one, I'm gonna pick DeAndre Cooper, even though Hodge made it still playing in the NFL. For what he did at Prairie View, like I say, Coach Orlando said, get us an X. Now, Coop started off with me. He was a free safety, played both ways in high school. He got injured, like the freakiest thing you ever see at practice. And I could just remember him sitting on the ground at practice, ran into a kid funny, and Doc Mays, who was our trainer at the time, said, he just gives me this look and almost shakes his head like this really not good for the small amount of contact. So you would see Coop out there running on his own, getting back in shape. And I would be fussing him like, hey, man, you're not supposed to be doing this. Lo and behold, he was like, Coach, I'm going to protect myself. He said, I'm going to come back. And I think he was the equipment manager the year we won the championship. I'm going to come back, and he moved to offense where he had an 80-catch season, over 1,000 yards, about 12 or 13 touchdowns. So, like I say, as a college football player, I'm going to give Coop the nod over Hodge. And I didn't coach Hodge, but I remember seeing it. I knew about him before he came. I knew his background and everything. The quarterback spot, I got to go with KJ Black. And look, much as I love Jerry, and I did not see KJ honestly leading us to the championship because, he was a kid that transferred from Western Kentucky, didn't start the first game, was sort of a laid-back leader. But part of what made KJ special, when the lights came on, he was as competitive as anybody you ever been around. And I think what made him not start, because he didn't start the Texas Southern game, and he came in against New Mexico State because our starter's helmet came off. And KJ leads us down the field, and Jay is getting ready to go back out there. And Coach Frazier sort of gives them like, hold on, let's see where this takes us. And it took us all the way to Birmingham to a championship. So that joker, KJ Black, I got a lot of respect for him because of the way that he handled himself, how competitive was. He led the nation in, what they call it, stat, not percentage, God dog, if we wouldn't talk about it, I could tell you. But he led us in quarterback efficiency. Not the most yards, but everything he did was on point, not a lot of interceptions. And he was more athletic than you thought he was. I never forget, we playing Grambling pretty much to see who's going to represent the West. And late in the game, KJ was like, Coach, I got it. Grambling had an outstanding defensive end. Man, we run that zone read. It wasn't triple option. It was just read the defensive end. And, man, KJ read it. Donald Babe was going right to left, and everybody assumed Donald Babers had the football. And, man, when KJ came out that backside with that football and got the first down and slid, Coach, like I say, if that joker wasn't a man, he'd have got kissed in the lips, Coach. I'm talking about he made a play for us, and that changed the whole dynamic of Prairie View football for a while. Next, I'm going to go, this probably the toughest one between Jonte Hebert, Donald Babers, and Tucker. It was Dwanye. I got to get a nod to my homeboy, Jonte Hebert. Now, Jonte didn't just have a lot of rushing yards, but he finished in the top 10 in the NCAA, led the NCAA in all-purpose yards. I say 2 out of the 3 years that he was and he wasn't a feature back, because you got to remember, we had Jonte Hebert at one time, all on the same team. We had Jonte Hebert, Fred Anderson, who was probably my first real recruit, and Courtney Brown, all those guys rotating, and they would go in pretty much on their own. So I'm going to get a nod to Jonte because he could do stuff in the return game. And you probably wasn't going to tackle that joker one-on-one unless he was by the sideline. I go back to this play. We playing Alabama A&M. I want to say it's my very last game as a head coach at Prairie View. And I tell Coach Orlando, hey, man, we don't need to rush and get down the field and try to get the score back. The play that he called was the play that I just drew up on the board. We call it Dallas Stab. Man, Jonte breaks one for about 90 on them fools. But he just was a football player, always showed up in the big games. Don't talk about when we played Southern and Graham, he always had big games against big schools. So I'm going to give Jonte the edge at the running back spot, even though Tucker had 2 1,000-yard rushing seasons. I think Jonte's impact just all over the field, which made him be my top running back. So I'm gonna shut it off right there, and I might have some more honorable mention. I didn't even mention the Jared Lovelock, but as far as the stats and stuff. But that's my top offensive players that I have seen, and there's some more good ones on there. But I'm talking about the ones that I've seen perform even on the big stage. And I'll go with those guys right there.
So, hey, listen, I was able to see a couple of those guys in person, man, and, some great football players, man. I always say, listen, that 2009 championship, it was cold there, but
yes,
I loved it. Even that Grambling game, really the Grambling game.
The Grambling game was cold.
Yeah.
Man, listen, that it was raining, but listen, when I tell you the pandemonium that hit that crowd that day when we won that championship, and it's funny looking back at some videos online, I see myself on the field, right, like running around. You know what I'm saying? It's some real baggy clothes. I'm like, man, them clothes bigger than clothes I wore today.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But yeah, man, it was great, man. And seeing Tuck, man, Tuck is one of my favorites, man. He's just so dynamic, you know what I mean? And that that 80 catches, man, I don't think Coop ever gonna get caught, man. It's just that was just some amazing numbers to be able to put up, over the course of a season. And listen, even with 12 games now, man, it's gonna be hard for guys to really catch up to that.
It's gonna be hard.
Yeah, a lot of great guys who can come through here. And I know we got a lot more. Man, Mr. Graves here saying he wants to know about defensive back development from high school to college. There's a few things to look at there. So that's something else we can add to the head.
Start right there looking at alignment. If you look at where Joker aligned, he going to tell you where he's going now. Now the only thing that changed is as you get older, alignment don't matter so much because the quarterbacks have such strong arms. They'll squeeze it in there. You're like, oh, he at the bottom of the numbers. He got to be going inside. Oh no, they'll squeeze it in there. So that's one thing. But if you know where Joker line up at,
Yeah.
he gonna tell you where he going, and that's gonna make you, like I say, I probably on a good day might have ran a 4.6, but I finished in the top 10 in the country in interceptions because I understood where people were going when they got to certain places. So that's the thing I always said, man, get them, if they fast and can play and learn the ins and outs of the game, they're gonna be much better. And that's why a lot of times the HBCU kids, they figure if an HBCU kid is fast, we can teach him football. Now, just imagine if a Joker been around somebody that's teaching them the ins and outs of alignment. Then when they get that, then they say, oh, this, all they really have to do is learn the playbook as opposed to I got to learn these different techniques as well as the playbook. That's when guys' mind get to spinning sometimes when they do get a chance.
Oh, wow.
Good. That's good.
Mm-hmm.
Show you why that time is valuable too, right? Because now being coached up and learning those things, and now this is almost like second nature.
Yes.
As far as playing a game, I just got to learn now where I need to be. That's big, man. Last game, obviously, Alabama State coming to Prairie View against Prairie View A&M, and I want to bring this up too because I know that right now we've heard a lot of information about Coach Jackson and the opportunities that he's getting. And so he was named a potential candidate for the UAB job. Now Brian Kelly apparently is being let go from LSU, and he's named a potential candidate for the LSU job as well. So I just wanted to put that out there too as well. Coach Jackson's name, in the candidate pool for LSU. That's some big money. Now I'm from Louisiana, so hey, Coach Jackson, go there. We can still
that's a good money.
Still purple and gold over there too as well. You know what I'm saying? A lot of money. They got a lot of millions over there for him to take too. But just wanted to say that. You know what I mean? I just got news that he a potential candidate for LSU job too as well. But Coach North is laughing.
He got the purple. He's ready.
I just want to get out in front. I want to be the one to break the news.
Hey man, hey, don't worry about being right.
Breaking news right here. Right.
Look, can I
say just be first.
Look, I was gonna get permission from my wife to make a donation to Prairie View if they reach X amount of fans. But I don't think they're gonna get close to my number, so I'm not gonna even put it out there. But look, I'm gonna tell you, I want to say this publicly. Mm-hmm. If you played for me, if you played for Coach Simmons, you played for Coach Dooley, Coach Jackson in the background back there behind in the picture, do not use your fraternity privileges or whatever to ask that man for a ticket to the game. You're out of school long enough to where you can go buy a ticket. And that go for take it how you want to. Go buy you a ticket to the game and go support them guys. Like I keep saying, it's about the kids, and it's about being able to witness something that you've been saying you wanted. Mm-hmm. So if you live, I'm gonna make a 2-hour circle around Prairie View. If you live in Cypress, you sure enough need to be there. Houston, you sure enough need to be there. I might go as far as like Hallettsville, Columbus, Waco, Hearn, all that area, Huntsville. If you live within a half a tank of gas, you need to be buying a ticket and at the game because the weather's supposed to be good.
It'll be perfect. 74.
So it ain't no excuses of why. I don't know if I feel like driving back out. We get a hotel then because all the homecoming hotel rooms gonna be open now. Get a ticket to the game and come see what you saying you've been wanting, and I'll leave it at that.
Coach Edwin Moore, before we talk about the game, says, "Hey, Coach Jackson going to LSU, trying to get on his DC. That's like a meal. Hey, Coach, you can have Coach, listen, talk to me real quick, because you might not want to go. But let's have a conversation.
Look, man, can he just look? All jokes aside, can he beat Alabama State first? Let's do that and then we'll talk. Cause look, my dad still living in Baton Rouge. I know a lot of people there. I make sure Coach E good while he over there. I just be an analyst, or my younger brother played at LSU. Take him over there. He know a lot of people, but
Coach, listen.
My wife not coming back to Baton Rouge.
Coach, you listen. They gonna pay you so much money. You ain't got yo. Listen, well, however your wife want to go back and forth, LSU gonna make sure it happen. Okay. All I'm trying to say, this is what I'm trying to say. Listen, Coach, go have a bad year. Them boys can put 40 on you every game. It don't matter. Okay.
Hey,
look, man. I drive you back and forth from Houston to Baton Rouge. Okay.
I drive for that.
We're gonna have the worst defensive year possible. We're gonna leave out that joker with $2.5 million. Okay?
Hey, man, it's a joke among some of the black coaches. Like, man, we get fired, and you got to go find a job within a week. Them jokers get fired; they could take years off. I'm talking about assistant coaches.
Listen. Somebody talk about James. Somebody said James Franklin up for a second job. I said James Franklin is sitting at home right now, and he not even acting like he put in the application. Okay, let's be clear. Okay, that man's not looking at a computer screen for probably 3 years. Let's be clear. Okay, so man, nah, y'all playing, y'all joking. But to be real, right? Let's get back on the real. Go buy y'all some tickets, right? And
that's it in a nutshell.
And while we saying that, listen, let me go and drop this for them, Coach.
I want to talk to you about time. It's time. It's time. It's time for
the SWAC Cross Division Game of the Year, as the #1 ranked passer, Andrew Body, leads Alabama State's #1 ranked offense against Trevor Randall and Prairie View A&M's #1 ranked defense. Can Alabama State keep their hopes of going to the SWAC championship game alive, or will the Panthers show that they are the big dog in the SWAC this year? Get your tickets to see November 1st, 2025 at 2 p.m.
Coach, we got the promo form. You know what I'm saying? We got the promo form. We dropping it because we knew last week it was going to be a big game. So we went out and put the promo form. We dropping it online because, like I say, I don't think there's been a bigger game in Panther Stadium.
Yeah.
Since 2016 to now, this is the biggest game, right? You're talking about a game that could determine if you come back here in December. I mean, how big? How? What else do you want, right? You got a team that put up a lot of points on offense, right? You got a team that's been stopping people from putting up points on offense, right? You got it literally down the street from you, and it determines whether you listen. Let me put it this way: winning this game could determine whether your school make $1 million or not.
Yes, that's the other thing I don't think people realize. And I was telling somebody the other day at the tailgate area, I was with the Panther backers, and when I told one of the ladies over there, if Prairie View get the championship game here, they don't have to split that gate. They look like, what? Because they was already talking about they didn't want to go to Mississippi. So that's another plus for being able to host a game. So, they talking about hosting high school games. Let's pack this one and pack it again. And like I say, winning costs.
And Mr. Bauer say, listen, him and his wife make the down and back every week from Dallas, Fort Worth area to PV, every game except homecoming. Okay. You know what I'm saying? So that every game, right? You know what I'm saying? And so
thank you.
This the one, man. But we're talking about this game, right? For you guys, when you watch this one, what's gonna be the key to victory for both Alabama State and the key to victory for Prairie View in this game? Because it's really a contrast in styles, right? Two teams that, in one sense, right on offense, really do. At the end of the day, even though Alabama State does a lot and they put the ball in the air, they're still a run-first team, right? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? They got multiple running backs that they will turn around and hand the ball off to you, right? And they want to bludgeon you on the ground. There's multiple games that they've come in and had 300-plus rushing yards, and Andrew Body basically threw for like 150, 170, right? And so they want to run the ball. Let's be clear, right? The same way that Prairie View wants to run the ball. They've been able to do it a lot, in a lot of ways also in the air. It seems as if Prairie View on their side of things has kind of settled now on Cam Peters as kind of being the guy that Coach Jackson's going to lean on because he can do a little bit more through the air. You haven't seen a lot of that RPO action that we've seen, with Carter in the game. anymore. It looks like they've leaned into kind of what Cam likes and kind of what his style is as far as getting the ball out to different guys. Coach, what's the keys to victory for this game for both teams, right? And who's gonna be happy? Because listen, Alabama State lose this game, it's real tight now because you talking about Jackson needing to lose too, and again we talking about just Jackson, right?
Mm-hmm. We ain't talked about Bethune yet.
We ain't even talking about Bethune. We ain't talking about the fact that what if FAMU beats Jackson, right? So it's a lot of stuff that can happen, and losing this game puts Alabama State in a really bad position, right? Mm-hmm. And of course, Prairie View losing the game means you lose an opportunity, like we say, right, to host the home championship at home, right? Possibly, right? Gives Texas Southern a chance to step back in and have a shot now with 3 games left to be able to get to the SWAC championship game. It also again, right? We talk about how big it is. You talking about $1 million for your institution, stuff that you want to do is now literally in your lap because of what GSU did right the other day. And so, man, what's the keys to this game, Coach?
Look, man, I keep going back to them Republicans. Don't give them anything. And look, pull yourself up by your bootstraps. I think the good thing about it is just having the chance to do it on your home field.
Yes.
That's big right there. But the game Saturday is going to come down to, and people keep saying this coach talk, penalties and turnovers. If you could limit them, and we say kicking the ball, whether it's punt, field goal, or point out the touchdown, that's the way you want to end every drive. So it's just take care of the ball, third downs, being able to run when both teams know it's about to be a running play, and an opportunistic passing game. Because like I said, I've seen Bama State play in person as well as on TV. They don't really push the ball downfield except when bodies start scrambling. A lot of their stuff is what I call zero read. It's a predetermined. They don't have. We got 3 out there. They got 2. Let's get the ball out there and hope our playmakers make a play.
Make plays.
But that's football. That makes sense. Mm-hmm. You're not putting the ball in harm's way, and that joker is like I say, man, he a football player. Jesse, I stood around a scout that didn't like him. I think this was 2 years ago, and I wonder what that same scout is saying about him now, the way he's playing. So, right. It is what it is. Like I say, I like the way that joker play football, and I'll leave it at that.
Mr. Mickens, man, what's your keys for this game?
And back to what Coach Northern said before I get to that, you can tell he's serious about his game because he's gotten bigger and stronger, and that's really helped him this year without losing the speed. And so, and like Coach Northern says, he might not run a 4.3, but he's a football player. He knows angles. He knows how to make. And the key to victory for this game, the number one is the dog. You got to have the discipline, because if you don't have eye discipline and you back there playing safety and he makes you think he's going to run and you just take a couple steps, he's going to sling it over your head. And we'll have to, and I know it's a different team, but we have to play body the way we've always played them. You have to keep him in contain. And you also have to have somebody has to be responsible for always knowing where he is. You know, they're not trying to cover anything. They just need to worry about where he is. And but he has a good stable of running backs too, so you can't just sit back and play pass either. So and I like the way our linebackers come up and fill those running lanes, and we definitely got to do that this game. And when they get in the red zone, we got to keep a close eye out on the fullback, because he will throw to him. And you got to watch the tight ends, because they've learned to capitalize on that quite a bit. And you got to watch out for that host claw guy. He's pretty good when they don't need a lot of yard. He's heavy and he'll lean on you. And, you know, he's one of those guys, I think Coach Northern likes those guys, the guy that you hit, and even though you got him where you wanted him, he still goes 2 yards, even though you got him. So we got to win those third down battles, and we can't turn the ball over. All the way back to the UTRGV game. That game, we were about to drive and win that game, but we had a turnover. So those are kind of things we can't have. I don't see them scoring 50 this game, but even at the same time, we can't be 3 and out on offense. We've got to not. This game, they're gonna score. We got a good defense, but they're gonna score, and our offense got to be able to answer.
No, and Mr. Bauer says you got to contain body, keep him in the pocket when he scrabbles, bad things happen. And I think that's the reality, right? You see it with T said as well. With him, Andrew Body, right, keeps his eyes downfield, and that's the thing that it hurts because he can hurt you when he scrambles on the ground as much as he can hurt you in the air, right? Because guys are still moving around. Coach, do you see? It was interesting watching the Southern game because that was probably the first game I seen where, man, I don't remember us blitzing at all that game. Right now, I remember us bringing a linebacker right here and there. But again, we bring in 4, right? We got the 3 down, and then we bring in a 4th guy. But as far as like really sending an extra guy, I don't remember us at all that game, literally blitzing at all the whole game. I can't recall when I watched back, I still didn't see anything. So that was very unique and just basically saying, I guess we don't believe a quarterback can beat us here and there down the field. When I look back at the game against Grambling, the T set, it was very clear, and especially in the first half, the first 2.5 to 3 quarters, that it was as if they were telling the defensive line, right, I want you to push the line of scrimmage, right, but I don't want you to really get too far upfield. Neither do I want you to kind of get out of this specific lane that you're in, because I want him still in here, right? Because you can tell the difference in the fourth when they started to kind of say, all right, hey, you can get after them a little bit more, and kind of how they were kind of coming around the corner. Do you look at kind of some of what we saw at T-Set and kind of expect that we would see a little bit of the same in this game, where you kind of keep a linebacker in as a spy, kind of have your defensive line, rushing to keep contained? Or do you look at, this is a game where something completely opposite to where, it's like, hey, we're going to sell out to stop the run, and then make them have to put the ball in the air and kind of just drop guys in coverage like we saw in the Southern game? How do you see the defensive side of things?
I don't think you have to sell out to stop the run. It just depends on how you line your people up. And are you going to try to force the ball outside? Because they run a lot of counter at what I'll put it like this. And because Southern runs a different defense. So the game that I saw them play a lot, Southern was in a 4-man front 9 times out of 10. So they may block it differently versus Prairie View because they're not going to be able to release upfield to get to the Mike linebacker, what I call a Mike linebacker. I don't know what Prairie. So it's different things like that you have to think about. How can you block the guy that's in the middle of the field? And then how are you going to react when those safeties sitting flat-footed and reading everything on the run? Are you trying to bounce the ball outside? So that joker gonna make some plays, and I would be like, I disagree where you say, well, they gonna score. They don't have to score. My whole mindset would be, hey man, we gonna punish this joker. I don't care how we do it. We gonna try to see what's their second string quarterback name when it's all said and done. He not good as body, I tell you that much.
Right, that's fact.
And I'm not saying go out there, but we gonna confuse that joker or we gonna pain that joker. Let him decide. But just playing fast, getting good pre-snap reads, I can tell that they do a good job of pre-snap reads by how fast they trigger once the ball is given out.
Yeah.
Or if they showing something and then backing out or showing and running the overload pressure. I'm still waiting to see the pick 6 where they think they in quarters or something else, and then you got a squatted corner and he picked that sucker off and make a play. I'm waiting to see Zachary Gill. I don't know why. I don't know because I'm Zachary, Louisiana, not far from my hometown. But I got a feeling Zachary gonna make a big play and everybody gonna be like, damn, that's the trap right there. And he scores a pick 6 or something like that.
And the only reason I kind of mention that, right, is because I've seen here and there from a defensive standpoint of them do some things that almost like, wow, that was the way they disguised that was very interesting, right? I've seen some where they brought the safeties down and Randall is lined up over the slot receiver, for example, right? And then you think he's manned up, and they got a linebacker that's coming up as if he's coming to blitz, and then next thing you know, a second before the snap that linebacker jumps out into that passing lane and they zoned up, and the safety is now coming down on the blitz, right? And I've seen other ones where, man, the linebackers, one of the linebackers literally drops back into the quarter coverage on the backside, and they brought a safety down to essentially play the same role that the linebacker typically play. So, and again, that's the way they, scout, the way they recruit, right? The body type they want, etc. A lot of these guys, even at linebackers, almost like a hybrid type of, position, right? And so they can do a lot of different things that maybe you would expect a typical, bodied linebacker to do, right? So I was saying, man, what I saw Southern was almost like they said, this is the game plan. We're going to stick to this game plan. Hey, yeah, Holly going to get some yards. He ain't going to kill us, and they ain't going to put us over top, and we just going to get out the game because I just don't believe you're going to go 5 yards, 3 yards, 7 yards, 4. You're not going to be able to do it consistently enough to score enough to win the game against me, right? And I think this game is a game where we're probably going to see some of the stuff that they've been saying, no, I'm going to hold back a little bit, right? I feel like this is probably the game we're going to see a little bit more of that confusion that they're able to do, that is almost like they've been kind of waiting for the right time to release, right? Like, man, I ain't never seen it on the film. Yeah, we know, because we made sure we didn't show anybody this on film yet because we didn't feel like we needed to yet, right? But this is probably the game where they need to kind of do something to get maybe an extra turnover that needs to turn this game into one where now you can win it versus you could have lost it, right? So I'm going to be really interested to see that, right? Because I think it's going to be a real good chess match. And then I think there's going to be some chess matches to it, especially in the passing game. But I think there also is going to be just some simple, like, man, who's better, yo tackle or my DN, right? You know what I'm saying? Is my nose guard better than your center and guard, right? There's going to be a lot of that this game too, and we're really going to see if this offensive line at Alabama State is better than this defensive line at Prairie View. We're also going to see if this defensive line at Alabama State is better than his offensive line at Prairie View, right? Yeah. Because Coach Jackson is also going to come out and say, we're going to run this ball, right? But I do believe that they think that we need to put the ball in the air, and that's why I think Cam Peters has kind of been the guy they've gone to the last 2 games, because I think there's also a preparation for this game right here too. So with that said, man, any last words y'all got for this game before we close out?
Tell your friend to bring a friend, like the old church revival, man. Bring somebody with you, and
bring a friend.
make it happen. It's like I said, good weather. You can't ask for nothing better. A good football game, 2 good teams. You might have heard some, we playing Lincoln, and man, get in the stadium and make some noise when it's time to make some noise.
It's time.
Yes.
It's time.
And I think that too. The chess game too, I want to see is the in-game adjustments. Both coaches, I think, are good at in-game adjustments. I want to see how do we counter if they're doing something we haven't seen, or see how they counter when we do something they haven't seen. And it's going to be interesting. But we need the fans to show up. Let's really treat this like our home field. I don't know how well the Bees travel, but I know that we don't want to take a chance on them outnumbering us. So this is a big game. Hopefully our marketing will treat it like that, and hopefully the fans will treat it like that, and pay attention. Try to get people out, community, anybody we need to come to the game. I'm going to be right in front of Mr. Bowers heading down the road from Dallas, so I'm coming also. So we got to make it happen this weekend. It's going to be a good game.
Yeah. So, hey, before we close out, I'm going to let it roll again, man, so you guys can check it out. And remember, go ahead and get your tickets now, man. Because listen, if we handle this game, listen, we a couple steps away from you being able to go and call a ticket off and say, hey, let me go and get that SWAC championship game ticket. You know what I'm saying? Listen, let me put my money down now. Okay, before
you ain't getting ready to clip me now.
Right, you know what I'm saying? So we take care of this one. We basically we game two away from getting that done, right? Especially if Alcorn take care of business. So with that said, man, we're gonna get out of here. But like I say, I'm gonna let that roll again so you guys can see, man, because I need y'all to understand this is the biggest game in the Hit Panther Stadium since the stadium opened. And listen, the highest selling game at this stadium was 15,050 against Alabama State that year. It'll be nice to have that again, right? You know what I'm saying, for this one. You know what I mean? Hey, Edwin, he's Mr. Carey. Edwin say, can he ride with you from DF Dub?
Yeah, I was just gonna tell him he welcome to roll if he can leave Wednesday night.
Rock and roll. But now listen, you got to be wearing the right colors. Ain't no blue and gold welcome on that day. All right, you know what I'm saying? You got just got to be wearing straight black. If you ain't wearing purple and gold, you just got to wear black then. All right, you know what I'm saying? Black or white. Now, but that's it, man. We're gonna get out of here.
I want to talk to you about time. It's time. It's time. It's time for
the SWAC Cross Division Game of the Year as the #1 ranked passer, Andrew Body, leads Alabama State's #1 ranked offense against Trevor Randall and Prairie View A&M's #1 ranked defense. Can Alabama State keep their hopes of going to the SWAC championship game alive, or will the Panthers show that they are the big dog in the SWAC this year? Get your tickets to see November 1st, 2025 at 2 p.m.
Atlanta, win. Atlanta, Atlanta, Atlanta is the land of the purple and gold. Oh, the land of the purple and gold. Better get there.